Hello, readers. Welcome to 20 Questions with Your Favorite Author, where we ask authors important questions like, why would you agree to be on this podcast? I'm Kelly Lynn Colby, editorial director at Cursed Dragon Ship Publishing. Our guest this week is Venessa Giunta, writer of Weird Things and director of convention programming. Venessa Giunta is a writer of Weird Things, an editrix extraordinaire, and a little bit of a nerd. I think maybe a lot of a nerd. She's a published author with nonfiction essays, short stories, and the urban fantasy Soul Cavern series, and has been a professional editor, both freelance and contract, since 2008. If she's not your favorite now, she will be after. Welcome, Venessa, on the very eve of the big holiday for nerds, worldwide.
Yes. DragonCon starts in T-2 days. As a matter of fact, exactly 2 days from now, I will be on the Welcome to the Writer's Track panel in the Writer's Track room at DragonCon. I'm sorry.
You should be sorry, because we're very sad that we're missing it. But, that's one of the things I love about DragonCon is that the Writer Track is so active.
Yes.
Like, there's not just one writer track. Like, there's one writer track, right? But there's so many other tracks that talk about books as well. So it's just the book lover's dream. And when I tell people that, they're like, isn't it like, just cosplay and celebrities? I'm like, well, it is that. But it's also not only that. That's right.
I would say it's not even mostly that. Like,
that's
the
not why we keep
cosplay,
going.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, cosplay permeates the whole thing. But, there are people like the only time I ever see celebrities there is when I just run into them out in the wild. I never go
in
to
the elevators.
Panels. Right, exactly. Although I try to avoid the elevators at all costs, but
so hard. I told him let's talk about the things we're not going to miss. How about waiting for the elevators at the Hilton? I'm not going to miss that.
How about me being in the Hyatt, having to walk all the way to the Sheraton to get our track badges, which for those who've never been to DragonCon, that is almost the farthest you can literally walk and still be at the event. The only way it would be further would be if we were at the Westin. But we're not. We're at the Hyatt.
I don't know what the angle, that might be about the same.
The hotel formerly known as Sheraton. It is now the Courtyard, because that's not confusing at all.
It's funny. I remember we would go because my mom's the one who said, "Oh, you should go." And we went once, and it was just something about DragonCon really, like, I mean, the first time we went, we've been many times since, but the one time we went, the next year we went, we knew where everything was. Something about that event just like sits in your soul, and you can see it all. Do you have that same experience?
Well, okay, so I'm going to tell you my dirty little secret about DragonCon.
Yes.
If I were not on staff, I wouldn't go. Yes, I know. I told you it was a dirty secret.
It is a dirty. We record this, right?
I know. It will come back to haunt me. But it's not that I don't like it. It's just that it is too big for me. It's just too big. I actually, there's a funny story on how I started doing DragonCon.
Ooh, tell me.
I basically got bossed into it by Nancy Knight, who runs the Writer's
You
Track.
were voluntold.
I was voluntold multiple times. So I was doing contract edits with a publishing company, and several of our authors were doing this event in a bookstore downtown Atlanta, not downtown, but in Atlanta. And they were doing a video show, like an interview show. And so I went down there to support them, right? Because that's what you do. And so I'm talking, so the interviews are going on, and I'm talking to this woman, and she's like, "Oh, that's Nancy Knight doing the interviews. Are you a writer?" And I explained who I was, and she was like, "Oh, you should come to DragonCon. Nancy runs the Writer's Track. She would love to have you there." And I was like, "Awesome." She's like, "Here's her email address." Awesome. Thanks. It's a little too big for me, but thank you. So I put it in my pocket and I went on my way. And she and I met briefly there. So about 6 months later, I'm at this event, this get-together dinner thing with just random people, part of the same kind of very loose social circle. And there's this woman there who is dating an old friend of mine, an old acquaintance of mine. And he introduces us, and I'm like, "Hi." And we're both like, "Where do I know you from?" So finally, at like towards the end of the night, I'm like, oh my God, I remember where I know you from. So I'm like, you are blah, blah, blah. This is where we met. She's like, oh, yes, you should come to DragonCon. Here's my email address. Email me. Thank you very much. The next month at the same event, she goes,
Oh, no.
are you going to email me or not? I was like, I guess I am. So I email her. She's like, come be on my track. And so I became a volunteer. 2 years later, so I was volunteering on the writer's track, which was fabulous. 2 years later, we're going over to the Sheridan. It was the Sheridan at that point to get the track stuff. And, she's got to get her guest badge because she's also a guest. And we're meeting people and she's introducing me to people. And she's introducing me. She's like, hey, so-and-so. She introduced me to Richard Hatch this way. Hey, Richard, this is Venessa. She's my second, which in DragonCon speak, that's assistant director. And she introduces me to several people, including the head of security and all these people. And finally, I looked at her. I was like, Nancy, are we going to talk about this second to the director thing? And she goes,
I didn't sign any paperwork.
She goes, oh, yeah, you're my second. All right, good talk. So that's how I ended up at DragonCon.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, you're obviously amazing because I was like begging to come work with Nancy. So
wow. I don't know about amazing. She barely knew me, but I had been friends with her boyfriend at the time. So yeah.
He vouched for you.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. All I know is she was very adamant that I email her about DragonCon. So, but for me, DragonCon it's too big and too busy. If I were there as an attending pro, I mean, I would go as a pro, but I wouldn't, I wouldn't buy a badge and go because it's way too expensive and way too big. So I tend to like medium size and smaller cons myself.
Yeah, that is why we are not going because I didn't get attending professional this year. Yeah. And it's just, we didn't get a booth for the company, right? Which is almost impossible anyways, right? A vendor booth, but we tried. And I was like, so we cannot say this is okay to spend all of this money to go to this event without it actually being a business expense.
Yes.
You know? Yeah.
I mean, it's a business expense, but I would like it to not only be, I would like it to also be business income.
Right.
That would be, Yep. This year I actually, a friend of mine is doing a group author table, and we're splitting the costs among, I think, 18 of us or something. And he's going to be carrying my books. So he was like, you can come down, do a signing. I was like, I have no idea when I'm going to have time.
Right. So, it's like, don't put me on the schedule.
Here, I'll just leave a sign on the thing. Come to the writer's track room if you want your book signed.
That's right. I live there. Just buy the book here, bring it down.
Right. If I'm not there at the moment, somebody will know when I'm going to be there. Just ask for me. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I like that though. Even though those rooms are actually full, right, for the writer's track, it's still quieter, right? Because it is full of writers or readers, one way or another, not that different, right?
Yeah.
So it is a little quieter. It's kind of like a nice safe space. If I need to just sit for a minute, I will just go all the way down there, bottom of the Hyatt, and just go sit on the floor over there. It's like, I just need a minute. This is a great place.
Yep. Yeah. It's definitely a lot more low key than some of the rest of the con,
And I can walk and take the escalators. I don't have to wait for an elevator.
That's right. That's exactly. I stay in the Radius Tower, which is the tower of the tiny rooms. Mm-hmm. But they also have their own dedicated elevators that nobody else uses. You only use that elevator if you're going to a room in that tower.
In there specifically.
And they're so small, you can't effectively throw a party in it. Mm-hmm. Like if you had the whole floor, you could probably, but not just if you just have one room. So there are hardly any like room parties and stuff. So there's hardly anybody going up and down. So it's very chill.
It's nice.
I'm old.
Yeah. We have a legacy room in the Hilton, and we really want one. We would rather have one in the tower.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
We keep our eyes open. That would be our dream place. I mean, we spend most of our time in the Westin Bar anyways, right? So it would be nice.
Yes. Yeah, I try to get over to the Westin Bar at least once every con because that's, where the writers hang out. For those of you who don't know, if you're looking for the writers after dark, go to the bar. You don't have to drink if you don't want to drink. But that's where the writers hang out, always.
Yep, and mostly the Westin Bar, even if they're not staying at the Westin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely
It's
the
just
Weston
become the
Bar
place.
is, yeah, it's the writer's bar. And were you there that year that they had a the Hilton decide or the Weston decided it'd be awesome to have a DJ in the in the bar. So like you
Oh,
couldn't even talk to each other. It was just
oh
they had
no.
it that one year and then that was it. They never had it again.
Enough
It
of the
was
writers were like,
probably
"Are you serious?"
yeah, right? It was probably I think it was 2018 because it wasn't there in 2019. They weren't there again in 2019. So
We were there in 18. We might have just missed the DJ that night.
yeah, I don't know if they had it every night. I know they had
Mhm.
it when I was there, and I was there late on. It was either Friday or Saturday night, I think. Probably Saturday night. So.
Yeah. Nope. We like the Western for that part too.
Oh, I see Rose is here. Hi,
Yes,
Rose.
hi, Rose. Welcome, welcome. And remember, chat for everyone new or all, our people as are always here. If you have any questions, please ask. I know we're talking a lot about Dragon Con, but Vanessa is also an incredibly talented author. So I'm going to ask her some of those questions too. So if you have some stuff for her too, please go. And as you heard in the bio, she's also an editor. So if you have editing questions, please ask. But I do want you to think. Now you have quite a few books out at this point. So I
A
want you to
few.
think back to the very
Not a
first
ton.
book you published.
Oh.
What was the hardest part about publishing that book?
So the very first book that I got published was Smut. It was not under my legal name. It was under a pseudonym, and it was actually published through a publishing company.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah, the hardest thing, and it was one of the very well-established erotic romance publishers, Lucid.
Mhm.
And so Smut, good old Smut. So probably the hardest thing was just getting my shit together to get it in. Like that was really the hardest thing, and also if you're looking to go the traditional publishing route, that is like getting over the fear of it, getting over the fear of putting your work out there to be judged, even though it's really not always about judgment. Often it's about, oh, this just doesn't appeal to me, right? It's a very subjective decision, right, on the editor or agent's part. But that doesn't matter if you're on the receiving end, right? It's still a rejection.
It tends to be a
So
business decision, not a personal one,
yeah,
but man, it feels
exactly.
personal, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's your baby, right?
Right.
Especially if it's the first one,
Mhm.
especially if it's the very first one.
Mhm.
So that was probably just getting my shit together enough to get it in and stuff. This is the first one that I published independently. But I had already gotten my rights back to the Smut book, so I had published that one independently. I guess technically that was the first one independently too, but it gave me practice for when I was ready to do my urban fantasy. So
Gives you some experience along those lines.
yes. I think really getting all of the understanding how it all works, because indie publishing, there's so much to learn and it can feel so incredibly overwhelming because like there's so much and there's a huge portion of it that is ever changing. Like all
Right.
the stuff that has to do with social media and marketing is always changing. So if you're currently writing your book, don't even bother learning that crap because it's all going to be different by the time
That's
maybe
right.
familiarize yourself with the options out there, but like don't think about a marketing strategy because by the time you finish your book, get it edited, get it covered, get it formatted, and get it published, that launch plan you had 6 months ago
Doesn't
it
work
may be
anymore.
obsolete. Right. It may be totally obsolete now.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just so big. I think that's probably putting myself in the shoes because I work with a lot of novice authors
Same.
and putting myself in their shoes, that's got to be the biggest thing, is just how huge and overwhelming it is and how much you don't know.
Mhm.
So I mean, I answered your question and then several other questions also.
That's good. I like this better. Look, man, these people hear me talk all the time. They really want to hear someone else talk. So this is great.
I got you. I got you.
Excellent. Like I said, you're right. We as we talked earlier, a lot of the readers and writers we tend to be introverts, so we don't always talk a lot. So it's nice
Yeah.
having someone else, even though being an introvert is so comfortable communicating, right? That's the whole issue, right? You know, you get practice and you get more comfortable.
Yeah, you have to. You don't have a choice. As a writer, you don't have a choice. I'm actually an ambivert.
Oh, nice.
I can be very extroverted, but
Mhm.
also I have to go. That's why I don't room with people at Dragon Con, which makes it more expensive. I need a space to go back to that's my space, and I can do what I want in it when I want, and it's quiet if I want it to be quiet.
Mhm.
So, but I am perfectly comfortable also being out with people and interacting with people. And I'm very often the emotional extrovert that people, introverts kind of attach. And I'm like, come with me, come, I will lead you to the people and I will be the buffer and I will get it to where you guys can talk yourselves.
And then I leave. That's my job. That's what I do too. I'm like, I don't even need the social stuff. I'm like, look, see all these cool people? Yeah, this is so and so, this is so and so, here's so and so. All right, I gotta go. Y'all have
fun. Y'all have fun. Talk amongst yourselves.
I'm very much like that as well. Well. We get it. We get each other.
I do that with authors and editors or agents too. At Dragon Con specifically, I'll have like this. I've done this so many times. I'll have like this author that's ready to start pitching or to start, querying and stuff like that. And I'll be like, oh, I know so and so. Oh, look, they're over there. Come with me. And sometimes I won't even do that. I'll just be like, come with me. And I'll just be like, hey, this is so and so. They're an agent. They're into your stuff. This is an author. And I really, you guys should talk and see whatever, and just like, and then leave. And later they'll be like, you left me. And I'll be like,
you're welcome.
But did they ask for your pages? Well, yes. Excellent.
I did my job.
That's right.
I'm the mediator. You take care of it.
I prefer the term facilitator.
Oh, that works. That works. Facilitator. I like it.
Yes.
Avatar says that Venessa is the introvert's Moses. Follow me. I shall show you.
I shall lead you to the promised agents. Something, I don't know.
Yes.
I lost that. I lost that analogy. It was gone. It
just went another direction. It's a whole nother book.
Yeah. It's fantastical. How about that? I just took my own path. It'll be fine. Ain't nobody gonna die. It'll be fine.
I mean, that's most writers. That's why you can't actually tell people how do you get published? You can't really tell them because it's different for everyone. We all have our own path. But if you were going to give someone one piece of advice, what would the one piece of advice be?
Know what you want. Ooh. Because if what you want is to be in physical bookstores, that's one path. If what you want is to make money, I mean, you can have all of these things together, but if your primary goal is to be in bookstores, that's a certain path. I mean, it can go other ways, but like there's a primary path. If your main goal is you want to make money, there's a path, like you want to make X amount of money per year or whatever. There's another path that can be that way, but also you have other things you need to be doing. If what you want is I just want readers, well, there are other paths then, right? So understand what success is for you, because that is going to dictate which paths you decide to go down.
I love that. Define success. That's something we forget sometimes. So that's really good advice. I like it. So we talked about how well we get along. I'm wondering, out of all of your characters, which one do you relate to the most?
Relate to him the most. Most of my main characters have some piece of me in them. So I relate to them probably pretty evenly. Or they're a better, like in my smut book, my main character, she's a big girl, but she's like the big girl I wish I was. She's the one who's confident and she's reeling in the men and she fucks them and sets them aside and does her thing, right? So like, I want to be her when I grow up. But but probably one of my favorites and that I kind of wish she's one of the support characters in this. Her name is Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
She's a tech girl. Computers work for her. But she's got this cool attitude where she's very upbeat and very positive, and she's adventurous without being like, she's not like an adrenaline junkie, but she's like, it's like, well, we should think about whether we want to raid this safe house. And she's like, we should. Here's how we'll do it. Right. So she's not like, she doesn't go running off.
She's not impulsive.
Right. She doesn't go running off into danger like willy-nilly. She's thought about it and she has a plan. But she's so much fun. I really love her. And it's funny because there's going to be another series that is in the same world. There's actually going to be 2 more series that's in the same world as this, which this is set in modern day Atlanta. It's urban fantasy. So in the same world, the main character of one of the new series that I haven't started writing yet, so don't get excited about it, but she's an older woman, like she's in her early 40s, and she runs a tea shop, and she discovers that she's a witch. And she is Sarah's aunt. So she actually has a cameo in the final book of this series that isn't out yet. And that'll kind of tie in. And so Sarah will also be in that series as well. And what Sarah doesn't know is that she's actually, okay, this is spoilers, y'all, but nobody's going to find this out until later, much later. But Sarah is a technomage. And she doesn't know it. That's why
the computers work for her.
Yes, yes, machinery, things like that, all works for her. So
sometimes I think Zapho's a technomage because I'll be like, it won't work. It's just not doing it. Can you please come down here and fix it? I've restarted. I've done all the things, and he just walks in the room and it works now.
My husband's like that. I'm like, because then I'm annoyed because then he thinks, yeah, okay, whatever,
Right? It's like I did all the things.
Yes. And it worked for you and it didn't work for me.
I mean, it really could be the computers are just afraid of him. Because like the dog will be a demon and not do anything he tells her to. And I'm just like, hey, come here. And she just like obeys me. So maybe it's computers like that with him, right? They're just afraid.
And maybe he is a technomage.
Yeah, see?
I mean.
That could explain it.
Yes.
By the way, Zapho, you need to ask for a raise. You're a technomage now. We could, yeah.
Yes.
That's right. Put it on your resume.
Yes. That bumps you up a pay level.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Avatar. I always reboot it. We've been married 25 years. I would never, ever ask Zapho to come look at something if I had not rebooted it first. No.
Yeah, same. But you know what annoys me about my husband in that regard? And I don't even know if he's watching. He might be watching. But
confessions of a wife.
I gave him the link. But the thing is, like, I'll be like, I did this and this and this and this. And then he'll be like, okay. And then he'll go and do those things again. And I'm like, and he'll be like, yeah, it doesn't work. And I'll be like, really? Gasp.
I told you I did them. Why would I lie to you?
Yes,
I could have told you, oh no, I forgot that thing. No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. But anyway, but we have fun. I adore him. I couldn't imagine my life without him.
Yeah, no, I mean, if there's no conflict, what's the point? That's actually part of the process, right? That's what we read about too, right? We don't read about people that always get along all the time. I mean, it's just not.
That's no fun.
And you know why we don't do it? People say, oh, because it's boring. No, we do it because it doesn't feel real.
Yes,
if we just wrote books, like cozy books, even in cozy books, things have to happen because that's not how life works. So it doesn't feel real if stuff is not happening. So there has to be conflict.
Yes.
So I love it. Sorry, one editor to another.
Exactly. You know.
Yep. Yeah. Something doesn't feel right because it's not.
The funny thing about books is, though, that it has to be realistic, but not too realistic. Because if it's too realistic, then it's not believable. Like when I was in grad school, one of my professors was talking about how, I don't remember what the class was, but he was talking about how he had read this story about there was a shipwreck. It was in a lake, like one of the Great Lakes or something. I don't remember. But there was a shipwreck and they were raising the ship. And when they raised the ship, they found there was another ship directly under it. And he was like, that is a cool story. So it got him an idea for a story. So he's writing a story or whatever. Well, a few months later, he goes to check back to see, what ended up happening with it or whatever. And when they raised that second one, there was a third one directly underneath the second one. And he was like, there's no way I can write that. Nobody would fucking believe it.
Nope.
Right? So it's got to be like realistic enough to be believable. But if it's too realistic, like if it's too much reality, sometimes then it's not believable, which is
For
funny.
sure. I swear I saw something in the news. I won't even remember what it was. I saw something on the news and I turned to Zapo and I was like, if one of my authors wrote that, I would have told them, you can't do that. No one will believe it.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, honestly, you look at so much of the last 6 or 8 years here in the United States, there's no way that that would make, you know, like all the stuff.
It wouldn't pass the fiction test, and it's real.
It would not. It would not. It would be like, this is not realistic. It'd be like, but it happened, yes, but readers won't believe it.
Yeah. Nevertheless, you can't do it. Yeah, you can't. You have to actually be smarter and be more creative in your problem solving. Let's go.
Yes. So there's something interesting. We were talking about conflict, and I don't know anything about this, but I'm just tossing because I haven't done enough research into it because my life is a hot mess right now.
Already booked? Yeah. Always. Come on, let's face it. Always, right?
Well, yeah.
Even
but
though
right
you're moving, I know.
Yeah. Trees fell and demolished my house for the second time in 3 years. So, yeah. You remember the tornadoes that came through Georgia in January?
Uh-huh.
Dropped 3 trees on my house.
I didn't know that's why you were moving. Holy moly.
2 in my backyard and 3 across my driveway. Yeah, I'm still displaced. This is a rental that we're in. So anyway, yes, my life is a hot mess. But what I was going to say is I was reading an article a couple weeks ago about, we were talking about conflict. It has to have conflict. But the interesting thing is that's very Western, because what I was reading is Japanese storytelling. There are certain types of stories that do not require conflict at all. And I just thought that was really interesting. It's one of those things that, you know, I put in my little reading pane so that I can go back and read it later and actually delve into it. But there's a certain type of Japanese, I'm almost positive it's Japanese storytelling that there is no conflict. So I know, right? It breaks your brain, right? It's like,
I know, I'm like, is that even a story then? I don't.
It is, but you know, like but we're defined by our Westernness too, right?
Oh, for
we're
sure.
Defined by
100%. I'm very Western, frighteningly so sometimes.
Right, what we grew up as understanding what a story is,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And so that's why I thought it was so interesting, because I was like, I don't understand how that would work, you know? So like, I totally want to go and do more research on it, but I don't have the mental spoons for it right now. So, but yeah, I just thought it was interesting. I thought I'd toss it out there, and y'all can think about it and do research too. And you know, if you want to email me a book report or something, that would also be great.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
I'm all for Cliff Notes right now.
I can't imagine. Well, considering how much, you know, how westernized a lot of Japan has gotten, as in based on our entertainment, that's weird that they were able to hold on to that. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how commercial it is now,
Mm-hmm.
but I also, you know, I recognize that they, you know, like different cultures have different things that are the norm. And
Mm-hmm.
America has gone in and, you know, basically kind of tried to bulldoze our way into every place, you know,
Mm-hmm.
capitalism. And so it, you know, like I imagine it can be difficult because like it's very foreign. I mean, American stuff is probably just as foreign coming in when it was initially coming in as the idea of a story without conflict is to our brains, right? So
I mean, we have story without conflict. It's called poetry, and some poetry still has conflict.
Yes,
However,
it depends on the
there
poetry.
is plenty of poetry that does not have conflict, and that's perfectly acceptable.
Yeah.
But like actual story, I don't know. It's just
I know but it's interesting. Like I want to go and actually read some and see, you know, what it is that makes it compelling without the
why
conflict.
Would you read it, right? What's the point of it?
We equate compelling with conflict, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't, you know, but that's not the only thing that's compelling. Like I find certain human beings to be very compelling, but that doesn't mean that they're like conflicted, like you know, I have conflict with them or that they seem conflicting. They are compelling to me.
But do I want to read 60,000 words about them? Do you see?
I don't know.
That's
I don't
a
know.
different question. I
I
can sit
don't
at the
know.
bar and talk to anyone for an evening. I don't care who it is.
Right.
Anyone is interesting for that long, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same with poetry, right? They tend to be shorter too. That's the
Yeah.
whole point, right? I can handle that. Except I can't. I don't like it, but that's just personal. So the whole, they make me feel ew. Anyway, so yeah, I like my feeling to be around shock when something happened. Okay, I don't want actual feelings. Stupid feelings. But at a bar, right? Anyone can be interesting for a little while. I don't care who you are, because everyone is different enough that I want to talk to you. I want to see where you are. That's great. That does not mean I want to be new best friends with that person and we want to hang out all the time, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, that is kind of curious. I'm wondering what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but
what I
I
mean.
don't have time either. So someone else is gonna have
Right.
to do Avatar. Get to it.
Yeah. So if anybody's interested in, doing that,
Mm-hmm.
I see
Mm-hmm.
coffee out there too. Hey, coffee quiz.
Yes, hi,
Yay.
Coffee.
Hey.
Coffee introduced me to For the Words a bazillion years ago.
Oh, nice. Nice. Coffee came in when I first started streaming and was so sweet and gracious and nice and stuff. And they come by my stream. Our times are not often, they don't line up often, but they always come in and hang out when they can. So yes.
I have a few times gone from your stream to their stream,
Yes.
right? Because I'm like, I'm not done working yet.
I did an afternoon, or I did an evening stream on Monday because I usually stream on Wednesday and Thursday afternoons. And I knew I wasn't going to be able to do it this week. So I did a Monday evening stream and we ended up rating coffee quills when I was happy to be able to do that because I never get to do that. So yes.
That's awesome.
Sorry, Coffee. Don't mean to put you on the spot. That's what you get for being such a wonderful human. I mean,
that's right. That's your fault. Darn you for being generous with your
fault.
time and showing us cool things and
That's
being
right.
there to be my, toddler beside me working so I can get stuff done. It's ridiculous, let me tell you.
Can we talk about multiverse a little bit?
Yes.
So for those who are only because it's such a big part of my life right now. So those of you who maybe Dragon Con is too big and or too expensive or whatever, there's an event in Atlanta. This year it's October 20th through the 22nd. It's usually the third weekend in October. It's called Multiverse. You can find it at multiversecon.org. And we have built it from the ground up to be a space that is welcoming and open to everyone. I mean, certain people with certain kinds of attitudes are not going to be comfortable there, if you know what I mean. But for the rest of us who sometimes don't always have a place, there are a lot of issues when on the writer's track at Dragon Con, we almost always, I don't think we have one this year though, but most years we have an LGBTQ, queer in writing, right? Something about that. And invariably, I have all of these very young people coming up to me after, because I usually moderate that panel. They come up to me after and they're like, where can we go to find more of stuff like this, at Dragon Con? And I'm like, you're going to have to look through every single track and see if people, so
see where it is.
So our place, you don't go to, at Multiverse, you don't go to a certain room for the diversity panels. Every panel you go to is already diverse. It's baked into the wallpaper, right? It's That's just so cool. Part of who we are. And so it's super exciting. We started in 2019 was our first one. And then we went straight into the pandemic. So that's awesome.
That's momentum isn't important with a convention. It's fine.
Not at all. Not at all. Going into debt because you can't actually put on your show, but you still have to pay for all this stuff. What?
Yes. No problem.
So, but anyway, we put on a really, really good, virtual event in 2020, which yes, I'm biased, but I went to a lot of virtual conventions that year. Mm-hmm. And with the exception of maybe Dragon Con, but I mean, they're two different beasts. Dragon Con is humongous with an entire team and Multiverse is just tiny, right? Mm-hmm. We put on a really good one because what we did is we pre-recorded all the panels, but then we had all of the guests in Discord when they were being played at their times.
Oh, that's so clever.
That people could discuss what's happening in the panel and attendees can talk to the guests in the Discord chat. So yeah. So
So
anyway,
smart.
it was pretty
You
cool.
should do that at Dragon Con anyways, because usually I'm just like texting with a friend. It'd be so cool if we had a Discord that we could just talk about what was on the panel without, being
Yes.
obnoxious. I mean, that's
Yes.
clever. I like that. What a good
Yes.
idea.
Yeah. So we did that. Yeah, Dragon Con does have a Discord. They don't really use it that way though. But
I
but
meant
yeah.
for that purpose. They would.
Yeah, for that specific purpose. Yeah. But yeah, this year we had, well, our first year, our guests were Shauna McGuire, Kat Rambo, and John Picacio, who is an artist. Amazing.
I love Shauna McGuire.
Oh my God, for real. This
Love,
year,
love.
our guests of honor are Milton J. Davis, Rebecca Roanhorse, and Gagne Montez. He's our guest, our artist guest. But we have all kinds of great programming. It's been on my mind because I've been immersed in it for the last 3 weeks because we're finalizing the schedule and all that kind of stuff.
Well, Dragon Con,
So,
you're doing, the writer's track, you're the second
Yeah.
in there, but this one's your baby, right? So I get
Yes.
that, right? So this
Yes.
is more,
Yes.
I get that. So what is Dragon Con, I know when they say Dragon Con started with, which is why there's so many writer tracks and writers and readers there. It started with books and music is really what it started with. So what did you start multiverse? So it started with diversity was the thing you really wanted to concentrate on. But what about
Yes.
fandoms? What fandoms do you concentrate on?
We are very writer heavy.
Okay.
We do writers and art primarily right now, because we also do. So we do things a little differently too. So we have a writer's track. We have 3 geek tracks, which is sci-fi, fantasy, and horror. We have a learn track.
My company, Cursed Dragon Ship. How'd you know? Sorry.
We have a learn track that is set up very much like academic presentations.
Mhm.
Like we do a call for papers and stuff. You don't have to actually physically have a paper, but it's set up in a way that is similar to academic presentations in that they're often like 15, 30, 45-minute, presentations. We have obviously a dealer room and an art show. We have a create track that is basically a giant craft room. You can go in it anytime during con hours, and we have also makers classes in there as well. We have.
You're doing the con we want to do. I love that. Like I had a
come
team
to
and
us.
everything, and I couldn't even make it happen. Oh my gosh! I'm
Come
sorry.
to us.
Keep going.
We have a gaming room, obviously, and we also have a play track, which is panels about gaming, whether it's about playing games, it's also about creating games, all different kinds of games, video games, tabletop games. We have card game meetup kind of things. We also have a meet track, MEET, which is where we have our meetups and stuff like that. And they do all different stuff. They'll do meetups. Lately, we've been getting a lot of traction on occult type, like we had a Ouija board thing a couple of years ago that went really, really well. There's tarot stuff this year, and things like that. So we have the meet track. We also have things that I'm seeing being adopted in other mid-size and smaller cons. We have a sensory break room so that you can go with low lights. It's got like beanbag chairs and coloring books and charging stations and stuff. So people who don't have a room, or even people who do have a room, can go there on the con floor and just
breathe for a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. We also have, we obviously have a security team, but we also have what we call a safety team. And it is a team of mental health professionals who we pay for to be at the con. So if there's any kind of things that have to be de-escalated, if somebody is just freaking out or, having an anxiety attack or something and they need someone to talk to or whatever, if there's any kind of conflict between people, we have our safety team who are licensed mental health professionals who are there. So yeah.
That's so
anyway.
Cool.
So we're awesome. I'm so excited about Multiverse. It became the convention of my heart the first year. So that's why I wanted to make sure we talked about it, because I love it so much.
No, I'm so glad you brought it up. No, I was curious because we talked about it a little bit at Jordan Con when we were at Jordan Con together, but we didn't have enough time to really dive in. So that's good. I wanted to know more about it. That's really cool.
Yes.
And now I want to go. Why do I have to live in Houston?
Avatar says it's the convention of my heart, and I've never been there. You should come.
Well, now you know, Atlanta, it's time to go.
Yes. Yes.
Is it like in the perimeter? Do you have it downtown? Like, where is it?
Currently it is, if you're at all familiar with Atlanta, we have a little perimeter that goes around the city. 285 is a highway. We are on the north side of that, by Perimeter Mall, at the West End by Perimeter Mall.
Okay.
That will be changing next year, though. I'm not going to say, I can't say anything about it right now because, we don't want our current hotel to be pissed off at us and treat us
I get
shitty
you.
while we're there.
Yeah, contracts and
So,
everything are a pain in the behind.
yeah.
No, I got you.
Yeah.
That's part of
So,
why we were like, let's do this convention. We're like, oh, look at these contracts. Never mind. So yeah, you're braver than I am. Good job. Yeah. It's a whole nother ball game. I get that. Yeah, but that's really cool. Do you have a website? What's the website?
multiversecon.org.
There you go. Excellent.
There it is.
Zafo put
Thank
it in.
you.
Thank you, Zafo. That's for all the audio people so that they could hear it too. So we'll get that.
And also if you're local or it's convenient drive or whatever for you, and maybe you don't have the money for a ticket, we have volunteers. Like the volunteer app is still open. So, folks are welcome to do that. We can always find ways to make it work.
That sounds awesome. I love it. It's so funny. You can see, but this is tradition, by the way, the Tuesday before Dragon Con. Normally we would be leaving because we drive from Houston. So, it takes us, 12 to 14 hours, depending on traffic. And with the weather, we would have had to go the northern way. We couldn't have gone down I-10. So it would have taken us closer. Hurricane. Yeah, exactly. Nice. Yay, hurricane. Not the first. Not the first. Yes. We always laugh because Harvey hit Houston, right? Harvey with all the flooding and everything that hit Houston. That hit right before Dragon Con. So we were sitting in our driveway watching water come up going, I don't know if we're going to Dragon Con or not. Luckily it stopped 6 feet from our door and we're like, we're out of here, bye. But we had to take the northern route because everything was flooded. We had to go up. We couldn't go east. So yeah, it's a whole nother ball game there. So normally we go Wednesday morning. So we always talk about cons on Tuesday. So it's really cool that we got to talk about multiple cons. So that's kind of fun. And you explained, because one of the questions I had was, why are these cons so important, do you think? And there you go. You just answered that just by the way that you set up Multiverse. You kind of explained a lot of the stuff that is missing from some cons, right? Like, a lot of cons say they're inclusive, but they don't look inclusive when you go, right?
I think because so many of them have been established for so long, and in the past, particularly, the 50s, 60s, 70s, even the 80s, it was very straight and white, like authors were,
and heavily male.
Yeah, absolutely. Authors and events all were. And so they have kind of that older demographic that it just continued, right? And it's not necessarily anybody's fault. So they have to make, like, Dragon Con now has a diversity track, but again, like, that's great. But it also kind of, for us, the reason, like, we don't do panels about diversity. We don't do that at Multiverse, because we will talk about representation, but we don't do diversity panels because what we want is a diverse event, right? So
panels to already be diverse, not just that one special panel. That has the token representation.
It's very segmenting, if you have a diversity track, it's like, here's where you go to be not straight and white, right? So, and it's good that they're doing that, and hopefully
it's a step in the right direction.
Right, exactly. Hopefully at some point, then that will kind of grow out, and it will attract more people who are of more diverse backgrounds to come, and then and that's kind of the goal. I think that's what most conventions who are embracing this idea, that's their goal, right? Is to also attract folks who then can help create a more, we were lucky because we started out that way, right? We were able to begin that way and begin as we mean to continue. Whereas these established conventions, I mean, it's not anybody's fault that that's the way it is, but, so they're doing things to try to offset that and to try to, attract, more diverse backgrounds and things like that. So it's awesome. And hopefully that's exactly what will happen, right?
All the
So
panels are diverse. Yeah, I like
yes,
that. That's great. I love it. And living in a big city like Atlanta, it should be possible. You know what I mean?
yes,
So not just pulling
absolutely.
people from over, it should be possible. So I said with
Yes,
Houston, it's so darn diverse in all of the ways that you can use that word that we for sure should be able to get
yes,
amazing panels set up, right?
yes.
It's just a means of going out and meeting the people. And then saying, hey, you totally got to come do this. I mean, apparently Nancy's really good at that. So we need to all take notes.
Well, it's funny because that's what I did. So so as part of the writing tribe, which we're rebranding as the Writers Troupe, TROUPE, but we haven't quite done that yet. I wanted to do it before Dragon Con, but I don't know if I'll get to it. But anyway, one of the things we did this past year is we vended, several of us, 7 of us, vended together at Atlanta Comic Con. And a lot of people may not realize this, but Atlanta Comic Con is very diverse. Like the artists
Mhm.
and writers and vendors, all different backgrounds, right? So what I did is I took my little multiverse. I'm the senior programming director, so I took my little card and I went, I love your art style. I think you would go with, I think you would work with, you would love
You should
multiverse. And
come.
like, yeah, I was just like giving my card out like all over the place, and I was like, go to the website, do an application. We have an art show, get your stuff in there. So, because like it was fabulous. I was so happy. Some of the art is gorgeous.
Oh,
So,
that sounds so cool. I
yeah.
love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. It's so much fun. Well, we are almost at our hour, so I don't want to miss our lightning round.
Oh, okay.
So we
I'm
have
ready.
lightning round questions. These are the fun things. There may be judgment involved, so sorry. It's my audience. I don't know what to tell you. So
No,
don't
I
be
don't care.
scared at all. It's fine.
I ain't scared. I ain't scared of none of y'all. Bitch, I'm on the downslope of my life. I am like 54. I have fewer years in front of me than I have behind me. Y'all judge me all you want. I don't care.
You're like, I face the scary things and I know who I am, so whatever. Yeah.
Bring it.
Same. Okay, so what is your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Cookies and cream.
Fair. Tea or coffee?
1 cup of coffee in the morning, tea the rest of the day. That's what I'm drinking right now.
I love it. Pop or soda?
I grew up with pop and then I moved to the South and it became Coke.
I was going to say or Coke. I almost added Coke
Yeah.
since you're in Georgia.
Or Coke, right. But I don't drink any of it. But I grew up in Chicago, so I grew up with pop.
Same. Sorry, I'm just realizing we have more and more in common.
So much.
Kevin, our October isn't booked at all, is it? It's so booked. Anyways, and we're missing Atlanta for Dragon Con anyways, and my mom lives there, so we're really missing seeing her too. So there's multiple horrible reasons. I know, it's horrible. Let's see, where was I? Oh, cats or dogs?
I love most animals, but I have cats.
Fair. Do you prefer steak on the grill or in a cast iron?
I like them both. I'm probably more likely to cook in cast iron only because the grill is more work than I'm willing to put in. Because the thing you have to understand about me is at my core, I'm fucking lazy. Like I am lazy.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I'm probably more likely to cook it in a cast iron pan.
Fair. I mean, how lazy can you be when trees keep falling in your house and you have to deal with it? You started a con. Nice try. You might think you're lazy, but you are not.
No, but see, that's forced unlaziness. Like, just left to my own devices, I will literally sit here and turn into a blob in front of your eyes. Like, for real. For real.
I love it. When you enter a room, what song should play?
Oh my gosh.
I know it's a hard one. It's one of our new ones. It's a hard one.
Probably, okay, if I want to be really like full of myself, probably like We Are the Champions. But if I want to be true to my nature, it's going to be a Duran Duran song because I'm a huge Duran Duran nerd. I don't know what it would be though. It would not be Rio.
Not Rio.
Did
you ever watch Glee?
I did not watch Glee.
It's okay, right? It was just
television.
songs. But they did a Duran Duran mix that had Rio and Hungry Like a Wolf together. It was gold. It was so good.
Do you know that a cappella group? Not the younger one, but the one that was big in the 90s. What was it called? It was Guys, the a cappella group, and they did they did Carmen Sandiego or whatever. They did music for the Carmen Sandiego show or something.
Okay.
Y'all know what I'm talking about? They did yes, Rockapella. Thank you, Rose.
There you go.
I knew Rose would know. They actually did an a cappella. What do you call it when it's a whole bunch of songs? You know, they do it a whole bunch of songs. It was fabulous. It was so good.
Oh, I
So
love
they
when
did
they
like
do
Girls
that, when they
on
blend
Film.
together. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they did like Girls on Film, Planet Earth, Hungry Like the Wolf, Rio, little bits of like you could hear little bits of other songs
Underneath
so,
it.
oh,
Yeah.
medley. Thank you, Rose. Thank you, Rose.
Oh,
I'm just gonna let
you should
Rose
give Rose a rep point too. Rose gets a rep point.
Yes.
Good job, Rose.
Yes. So, but yeah.
You get points for reading our mind. We need help.
Yes, exactly.
And finally, where can fans find you and your work?
I'm going to put my oh, wait, hang on. I gotta go. I actually, oh my gosh, why are you not pasting? Hello. What's happening here?
You're like, participate. You must cooperate with
there
me.
It is. Oh, maybe it'll go in like 8 times now. There we go. All right, so I put my Sleek bio link in there so that nobody has to try to remember how to spell my name. So you can find a whole bunch of, like, you can find my books there, my website, the Writing Tribe, soon to be the Writers Troupe, and other things. I don't even know what's on there anymore. It's just a whole bunch of shit.
Lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff. So yeah, so you can like find my web page where you can find like my editing, my editorial rates and all that kind of stuff. Or you can read old blog posts. I don't really post there much anymore, but there's lots, especially if you're a writer, there's lots of good information on my website. So
yeah, stuff about the craft doesn't actually change that much, right? So that's a whole other thing. Yeah. The business changes constantly. The craft, not so much.
Not so much. A good book is a good book.
Yep, I agree. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And now that Venessa is your new favorite author, please make sure to review her work. You can also review us wherever it is you get your podcast. And you can follow us on Twitch or subscribe on YouTube. And we will see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Bye.
Hey, bye, everybody.